Hi there, my name is Daniel. I'm from Transcona Trailer Sales. I'm going to be walking you through your 2022 Chaparral 360 IBL. We are just going to start off at the back of the trailer. You do notice you are pre-wired for an observation camera. You can talk to our parts department about getting you set up with that. You also have your ladder for going up to your roof, checking your seals. And then we are just going to start off with the back bumper here. You squeeze and pull this cap and pull out. This cap will come off and you're going to find your sewer hose. Once fully extended, the sewer hose is about 20 feet long. Just take a note of those 2 ears there. It's going to be the same 2 ears that hook up to your sewer system. We just keep it stored in the back bumper here to keep that extension out of the unit. A little bit closer to the front here, you'll notice you got a little drain outlet sticker here. You'll notice right here is just this little blue tube sticking down. That is just going to be the drain for your fresh water tank. You loosen that cap off, pull that off. It's just going to drain all the water inside your fresh water tank. You will notice up here, you do have the vent for your range hood inside. It is a little high up, so you're going to need a ladder to reach it. Basically, whenever you're traveling, you can close that guy up with those 2 little clips there, and that's just going to stop dust from getting inside while you're traveling. But whenever you get to your campsite, you are just going to want to open those up so that you can evacuate the fumes and the smell you're trying to evacuate. Power system in here is 50 amp service. Just take a note of this little connection zone here and these little notches. They just line up with the same thing on the trailer side. Just pushing it in, giving that 8th turn, and then you got the threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 50 amp plug end. Some campsites do have this, so we do also include a 30 amp adapter. And then if you had the unit at home and you wanted to run your fridge, we also include a 15 amp adapter. But because this unit is a 50 amp, typically a 50 amp unit, just keep it in mind whenever you're going down to 30 amps or even 15 amps, you can't run both air conditioners on 30 amps. And if you were to go to 15 amps, you can't run the air conditioner at all. On 50 amps, the only thing you really want to be running is your lights and your fridge. Right here is just the sewer outlet. Loosen this cap off. You will notice 2 ears there. There's going to be the same 2 ears that were on your sewer outlet, and they just line up with those notches. You click it. You do have one valve here for liquid waste. That is going to be your black tank, so you are just going to want to empty that first, because that's going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. And then a little further up the unit, we do have your hot water heater service port. The only thing you really have to know in here is you do have your main drain bolt right here. Loosen this off. It's going to drain all the water inside the tank. Whenever you first get to your campsite, you are just going to want to give this pressure relief valve a pull. There should be a shot of water that comes out of there. This unit currently is winterized, so there's going to be no water coming out of there. If you don't get any water coming out of there, it's telling you your tank's empty, and you're not going to want to fire that up because you do run the risk of burning out your tank. Right below your hot water heater, you do just have tucked up under the fender skirt 2 low point drains. Those are just going to drain all your water lines. So if you're leaving the unit for a while, you don't want the water to go stale or stagnant, you can just loosen those guys off. It'll drain all the water out of the lines. Inside this compartment here is just kind of your main control center. You do have your leveling system right up front here. That works pretty simple. You hit that power button, it's going to light up, and you can either hit auto level, and it is going to automatically level the jacks as you need them to be perfectly level, or you can manually control each jack just by using the buttons. And then just to turn it off, you just hit that button again. This auto level system isn't going to work if the battery disconnect switch is off, or if the batteries are disconnected from the unit, I should say. Right here in this panel here, you do have your exterior shower, hot and cold water. Your black tank flush, so let's say you're getting false readings on the monitor panel. You know for a fact the tank's empty, but you're getting a reading on the monitor panel. You can give that tank a flush out. It's typically just debris hanging between the probes. Hooking up a water hose here with your sewer attached and your tank open is just going to flush it out. It's also going to help with a little bit of smell, getting rid of some of the smell. And then you do have your city water connection right below that. If you're at a site with service, you could just thread a garden hose right into there, turn it on, no need to run your water pump. And then you do just have your winterization little section here. These valves, it does give you a description of how to use them. So if you were to want to fill your tank, you have this one up and this one to the side, system use, and then you do have city water hookup / winterize, and that's how you'd want to have those valves for that. Right below that is just your hot water bypass. So with that pointed straight up, you are just bypassing the hot water tank. If you were to turn that over, that's going to open up the flow to the water tank. So whenever you summarize the unit, just turn that over. And then you do have 2 more waste tank controls here. Body waste, which is a gray tank, and this one does say liquid waste, but I do believe it is a galley tank, which is going to be from your main sink. And then you do have coax plugins on the right, as well as 1-ton plug-in, as well as a nice little light. So if you're at night trying to work under here, you can get a little bit of light. Inside this compartment here, as well as you have another compartment on the other side that's the exact same. It's just your propane tank. That works pretty simple. You open up that valve. It's just your standard 30 amp propane tank, kind of like a barbecue. Just opening up all that all the way will turn on the flow of propane inside the unit. You do have another tank on the other side as well. Underneath the front cone here, you do just have a little storage compartment. But this is also where you keep your battery inside that little black box. And then right there is just your solar controller. They say it's a solar controller, but it really is just a monitor system. It's just going to tell you what your batteries are at, what you're charging at, and etc. There's not much you really have to worry about there. There's also a little fuse right here for the solar system. So if you ever have an issue, that would be the first place I'd check with the solar system. Along the other side of the unit, you do have 2 exterior speakers, and inside this compartment here is just where we keep that 15 amp adapter, or the 30 amp adapter I was telling you about. So it goes to 50 to 30. It seems you're missing a 15 amp adapter, so I'll have to throw one in here. And then this little bar here is just to lower your spare tire. So you take this, you come over here, and just right under here, you see this, and it just lines, these notches line up with those little tubes there, and it's just gonna allow you to lower that spare tire. Just keeping in mind, underneath the spare tire is a safety chain you would have to release to start lowering this, just as a safety precaution in case the lift system were to fail. And inside this front compartment, you do also have some 110 plugins, as well as cable satellite hookup. You do have some more plugs right here. This little silver cap here is your furnace exhaust. Whenever your furnace is running, it's going to be blowing out hot air, so you're not going to want to have that covered, or you run the risk of burning or melting something. And then along the back side of this unit, there isn't really a whole lot to show you. To get inside, you take that assist handle, push it up, hold it 90 degrees. You can open up the door. You do have the fold down steps, just taking those safety latches, giving them a turn to allow those steps to come down. Just always making sure your door is fully open. Otherwise, your stairs can catch on the door. You do have adjustable feet. You just got 2 pins you have to release. You can move these feet up and down as your campsite desires. Taking a step on its side, the first thing you notice right on your left is your fire extinguisher. Right in front of you, you do have a little entryway light, which is quite nice. And then just taking a step upstairs here, you do have your monitor panel system. So first thing I'm going to show you, you just got your monitor tank system. So you got your battery, your fresh, your black. It says you have a black one and a black 2. You only have 1 black tank, 2 gray tanks. You got a gray and a galley. And then you have your water heater switches. So you can either fire that up on gas or electric. If you fire it up on gas, the water heater is going to first try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this DSI fault light is going to come on. At that point, you just have to turn this off and then back on again to retry it. Sometimes it takes a second just to clear any air out of the propane lines. And then you have your water pump switch, turning that on. It's going to draw water from your fresh water tank. And then you do have this switch here. So it's either for aux or gray 2. I would have it on gray 2, and that's going to tell you what your tank's going to be reading at. And then you do have an awning switch light right beside that, as well as your exterior light switch, which turns on all your exterior lights around the unit. Below all that is just your slide out buttons. So you hit those slide out buttons down, it's going to start making those slide outs go out. You're going to know those slide outs are fully extended when you hear the whines of the motor and the clicking. You do have 3 slides inside this unit, so whenever you do pull into a campsite, just making sure inside and outside all the slides are clear to move and aren't gonna bump or rub anything or be blocked by anything. Sorry, you have 4 slide outs in this unit, not 3. So you're just hearing the clicks of the motor, and I just let off that button because there's no point holding it because the slide outs are at their full extension. Again, just waiting for those clicks telling you that it's fully extended. I will say that this unit does come with what they call an extended camping season system. You just got tank heaters on the bottom of each tank. So let's say you're getting into the little bit of a colder weather. You can turn on those tank heaters, and it is just going to try and keep those tanks from freezing. Just keep it in mind, in Manitoba, our climates get pretty cold and you can't go all winter with these on. And then just the awning button, hitting that awning button, extend. The awning's going to start making its way out. You're going to know that awning's fully extended when you see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hanging down. Sometimes that flap could get stuck, so you just got to retract it a little bit and put it back out, and it'll fall out again. I'm not sure if we're going to have room to put this fully out, but it looks like we might have room. There we go. There's that little flap hanging down in the back of the metal tube. Now I'll just show you outside in case it were to start raining. You can take any arm, front or rear, just pull it down. That's just going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now if you like that angle better because it allows for more shade, you do the same thing to the front arm, and it is just going to allow for more shade. Just always making sure you fold these back straight whenever you bring the awning in. And just hitting retract, the awning's going to make its way in. You're going to know that awning's fully in when you just hear it contact the side of the trailer. It won't go much past there. Inside this bedroom here, it is just the bunk room. Comes with a nice ladder. You got some storage above head and on the wall here. And then just on the floor is just your little breaker panel and fuse panel. Whenever a breaker pops, it's going to sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. Whenever a fuse pops, there'll just be a red indicator light telling you which one's popped. Taking a step up into the stairs here, you'll notice on the wall you do have 2 thermostats inside this unit. There's one here and there's going to be one in the kitchen area. This one's going to control the bedroom AC. The one in the kitchen is going to control the living room AC as well as the heater. This one's only hooked up to the air conditioner. You won't be able to access the heat from this one, but they both work the same way in a sense that you just hold that button. It's going to turn itself on. It's first going to go on to fan on low. Now this is just the air conditioner moving air around. There's no cooling or heating involved. At any point, hitting the up or down button is just going to change the temperature. If you hit that button again, it's going to go into dry. Now that's just kind of like a dehumidifying mode. The air conditioner is going to kick in and out to try and take as much humidity out of the air as possible. Hit that button again and you now get to cool. Now let's say you want to change your fan speed from low to high. You just hit that button and it is going to change itself to high. Hitting that button one more time, it's going to go into A. Automatic is going to turn it into an on-demand system. So as the thermostat senses the trailer is at its temperature, it's going to turn the air conditioner off. Whenever it's not on auto, it is just going to run full time regardless of the temperature. And just whenever you want to turn it off, you're just holding that button again and it'll turn itself off. Inside the bedroom, your light switch just is on your left. You got your air conditioner. You have 2 ways you can run this. You can run it with the flaps open, in which case it's going to dump all its air into this space here. If you close these off, it will just move all its air through the ceiling ducting inside the unit. Inside this closet space, very, very large. You are pre-plumbed and wired for a washer dryer. If you were to want to go with that option, you can contact your parts department and they can get you everything, a quote and everything needed to get that done. You'll notice that this window here is a fire exit. To get that, you just pull this red tab, take this, once that screen's out, you just take this arm and push it out and you could jump out of the unit. All the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They're just kind of a sit where you leave them. So, and just giving it one pull will suck it back up. And this door here is just your bathroom. Hot and cold water in the sink. And this is also where your main GFI plug's located. So you got test on the left, reset in the middle. Whenever you got this orange light on, it is just telling you that it's been tripped. So just hitting that reset button will reset it. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, that would be the first place I'd check. Hot and cold water in here, of course, as well as a nice little fan. You just gotta turn it on. Always making sure you close it back up whenever you're done using it, because it can, if it starts raining or if it gets windy, and just taking a step down into the main living space. All your light switches just are on your left, on your right here. It's going to turn on all the lights inside this main living space for the most part, minus the ones underneath the slide outs and the back wall. They're on their own switches. This little normal style looking light is going to turn on the fan in the living space. Then you have your thermostat, which it's going to work the same way as the one inside the one I showed you earlier. Minus the fact that this one is hooked up for the heat, so if you want to turn your heat on, you just have to turn this to the heat option, and the heat does just move all its air through the floor portals and floor vents you see on the floor. You do have a max air fan in here. Unit's winterized, so we took the batteries out of this so they don't go dead. But you can activate this fan using this controller, which is quite handy, or you can just manually do it if you're tall enough to reach. Inside the kitchen space, you do have counters, nice storage. Inside the kitchen space, you have an Ever-Chill fridge. Now, this Ever-Chill fridge, your temperature controls and everything for the freezer are just up here. You go cold and colder, and it kind of goes the same way for the bottom, with 5 being the coldest and 1 being not the coldest. I do believe this only runs on shore power. Inside the kitchen space, you do have a nice light switch here. You got your microwave, that's gonna be just like home. And then you do have your stove. One thing I will mention, the stove inside this unit and the heater both run off propane. So we do have a LP detector. We will have an LP detector inside this unit. It's going to be located right on the ground. If it ever does start going off, you are just going to want to turn off the main supply of propane to the unit and open up all the windows just to air it out and ventilate it. To get this stove going, you just got to turn that over to high, hit the sparker, and they fire right up. Get the oven going, it's kind of the same idea. I will say now though that the oven's a little harder to get going sometimes, especially if you've left the unit for a while and you've had the propane off. It can take a second to get all the air out of the lines, but you just have to turn this knob over to the little pilot option, hold that button in, and then just hit the spark arrestor, and that pilot light lights. Once it's lit for a second, you can let off that button and it'll hold a pilot, and you can turn it up to your desired temperature and it fires right on up. Oh, pilot went out. So once that pilot's light is lit, just holding it in for a second, allowing it to, and then just turning it up to your desired temperatures, and there you go, it just lights right out and up. Just always making sure you turn it off whenever you're done. You do have some nice storage in here. You also have stools underneath here, and this is where your LP detector is located that I told you about earlier. It's just right underneath these stools here. You do have travel straps for all these stools and the chairs inside this unit. I do recommend always making sure your travel straps are locked in before you leave, because it doesn't take much for stuff to start flying around on here during travel. You do have 2 recliners in here. Both these recliners do have are both heated and massage chairs. And then on the back wall here, you do just have some more lights. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.